Hello, and welcome to the Hyrulean Chronicles, a podcast from the Play Talk Repeat crew, where we review and go in depth on the story of the entire Legend of Zelda timeline. I'm Oliver, and I'm joined by Lewis and Alex.
Hello.
This episode, we're continuing to go down the Fallen Hero timeline with A Link Between Worlds, released in 2013 exclusively for the Nintendo 3DS. So, as always, I'm going to begin with the story between this game and the previous game, which was Link's Awakening. Not a lot here, just a few sentences. So, after Link's adventures in Hollow Drum and Labrina, as well as his maybe, maybe not dream on Koholin's Island, the Triforce was split into three pieces. Ganon managed to retain the Triforce of Power despite being sealed in darkness. The Triforce of Wisdom remained with the royal family of Hyrule, but the Triforce of Courage was lost, though it was rumoured to be hidden in the heart of the eternal hero. Right, opening statements. Hit me with one. Alex.
Um, this is the best 2D Zelda.
That's a fantastic opinion, that, Alex.
Yeah.
Fantastic
Right.
opinion.
Okay.
That's top
Good.
draw.
I'm glad that someone agrees with me. It is. I think it's miles better than Link's Awakening. I think your time between dungeons is determined by whatever you want to do. Um, I like the fact that you can go to any dungeon you want in any order apart from the first three, obviously. Which is like the opening part. I like how the items are managed in this game. You don't get them in the dungeons, you just get them like from Ravio. Um, Trying to think what else could I like? Oh, the main mechanic. It's fucking great. I wish they'd bring it back, merging with walls.
Oh yeah, they never will do though. It's just that one. It's
Oh no,
just
they won't.
just a one gimmick. So
Yeah.
what's your score, Alex?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Cracking score. Lewis.
Um, yeah, pretty much the same as I think this is the most filler-free Zelda experience that you can possibly get, whether it's entry level and it's your first Zelda game that you're playing, or if you've played a bunch of other 2D Zelda games in the past. I definitely think this is just the most enjoyable 2D game overall. It's literally just a Link to the Past, but better. I don't like A Link to the Past. I've made that clear on multiple podcasts. I don't think the game has aged particularly well at all, and there's a lot of issues with it. And I think this game pretty much fixes every single issue that I have with A Link to the Past and just makes it a good game. It's also one of the other reasons why I don't really see the point in remaking A Link to the Past, because you've just sort of got this. And I feel like if they didn't just make it like this, exactly like this pretty much, then there would be zero point. Um, but yeah, it's definitely the most filler-free experience. As Alex said, the game's determined by how you want to play it, and I think that's incredibly refreshing. You're not limited by the items that you get in the dungeon. The dungeons are built around the idea of completely scrapping that you've got to get the item during the dungeon to unlock the keys, get to the next door, and follow this certain path. They completely restructured that. And they just made it a lot more enjoyable to actually play. And I think people need to get with the times and stop being old men and accept that Zelda should be like this now. And we need to stop making these games like it's 1992. I feel like this was a perfect stepping stone for getting into like the modern era of Zelda. And obviously after this was the last 2D Zelda game we've had over Digital and Link's Awakening, right?
So this was the last traditional Zelda game that we got. It's released in
Yeah.
2013. The only two Zelda games that came out that weren't remakes, or Hyrule Warriors or whatever that shit,
Yeah, Breath of the
were
Wild.
Breath of the Wild and Triforce Heroes. That was it. So
Well,
this
this is
is
what
the
I mean.
last one.
I feel like this was the stepping stone like
Crazy.
into the new era of Zelda, and I feel like this is definitely where a lot of people were going to be torn, being like, I'm a traditionalist and I like the way that Zelda is, but I think if these games are going to stay enjoyable and are going to like bring in these new audiences, they need to do stuff like this game and continue with that going forward. And I think this and then Breath of the Wild coming after it being the last 3D game that we got, and the 3D game that followed this as well, I believe, right? There wasn't a 3D game in
No.
between. Like I feel like that was just huge moves by the Zelda team, and feel like they were very, very smart with what they did, and I feel like this and Breath of the Wild complement each other very well in like bringing us to this like fresh new era for both the 2D and the 3D style of games. I just think it's a very good game overall, and I'd give it like a solid 8. Yeah, it is better than Link's Awakening. I do really like Link's Awakening though. I don't think Link's Awakening falls far behind. It's just at the end of the day, Link's Awakening was designed based on the old game, and there's only so much they could do with bringing it like to the current generation. With this, it was completely built from the ground up. So
yeah, it does
I
run.
feel
It
like
just runs better as well.
yeah, I feel like well, I mean yeah, it shouldn't do. It's on a DS, but yeah. But yeah, I just feel like everything about this game was just very, very good, and they smashed it out of the park. We're actually making the formula
you would like
fun.
it.
Oh no, yeah, it was a great time. I just pray that they don't. I want to say I pray that they don't go back to. I feel like they will keep doing this if they do make any more 2D Zelda games. I always get caught up in the idea because when you read about this game, there's so much slander about it. There's so many people going, "This isn't my Zelda. This isn't how it's meant to be." Blah blah blah. But like I said, you either need to stop being an old man about it and just accept that these games are going to change, or if you really care that much, just go play the old games. Like, they all play the same anyway. Don't act like every time we play a new Zelda game, it's a brand new experience. It's like the same game over and over again. So you've got like 20 years worth of games you can go and play if you really care that much. I want these games to come out, and if they are going to make a new 2D Zelda game, assuming they probably will at some point, I very much hope that it plays off this formula, really. But we'll just have to wait and see, because they haven't made a new 2D Zelda in 10 years.
Very nearly 10 years. Well, try unless you're counting Triforce Heroes.
I'm not counting Triforce Heroes.
No, well, yeah, exactly. So yeah, what you give it an 8, didn't you, Lewis?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be damned if this isn't the best 2D Zelda. It's just it is great. I can't say much more than you guys have already said about it in terms of an opening statement, but I think for me this is a nice middle ground between Breath of the Wild and the traditional Zelda template. If it were up to me, I'm gonna be an old man about it, and I'd prefer A Link Between Worlds over what Breath of the Wild did. I think you can still have that open world, you can still have that choosing where you want to go, but just have a dungeon at the end of it rather than a divine beast.
Your time's up, old man. We're in the modern era now.
No, you can't tell me that you didn't miss a dungeons in Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
I did.
100% I missed
No,
them.
all right. The thing is, and I've said this in a different podcast, I did, but we've had one game that's changed the formula, and I think it was incredibly refreshing, and I had an incredible time with it. Do I want this for every game going forward? No, but I don't think there's any issues that they removed them from Breath of the Wild. I think it was a really fun experience for a brand new style of game, and I'm not going to compare it to the other games because it did 2 in 1. If we had 3 games like Breath of the Wild, then I'd start to see people's issue going, oh, where is it? Where's the dungeons? I want the dungeons back. I completely get that, but a one-time thing, I don't see any issues with it.
Well, so what? Breath of the Wild 2 then? I mean, what's that going to have in it?
We don't know. We know nothing about that game.
It's all predictions, isn't it?
I'd like them to bring dungeons back. It'd be cool, or if they can like mix it in somehow, maybe 50-50 of it, or just somehow implement it into it. But yeah, we know nothing about that game because they're very annoying about not saying anything. Even Breath of the Wild, when that came out, we didn't know anything about that game until it actually came out. So we're just gonna have to sort of wait for that.
I think it is legitimately possible. It is legitimately possible. You split the land into 8 rather than 4.
Yeah,
and then you just have a dungeon in each of them. Don't have a divine beast. I think the shrines are great. The shrines should still exist. There should be better rewards for them. But
yeah, I just feel like I don't know why I'm turning this into a Breath of the Wild podcast. I feel they can definitely implement it in a way where it doesn't feel linear and the exact same as the old games. I feel like they can still implement the dungeons without just giving us the same formula that we've had several times. I'll be very happy if they can implement dungeons but still make it fresh and feel new. That's all I want. I just don't want it to be a retread of every game we've already had already. Dungeons coming back would be great. I just want them to implement it in a interesting way that isn't just, we're going to completely scrap what we did in Breath of the Wild 1 and then just give you 8 dungeons this time. Like, I don't want them to do that, but as said, we're just going to have to wait and see because they're very annoying with not showing anything.
I'm with you. Anyway, enough about Breath of the Wild 2. That was silly. So graphically, what do we think of the game?
I'll go real quick because I just went on a big tirade, so I'll get mine out of the way just like super quick so you guys can talk. I think it's very colourful. I think it's very nice. I think it looks much better than, again, I'm going to keep comparing this to A Link to the Past. I think it's way nicer to look at than A Link to the Past. I feel like even though this is 3D, I feel like, to me anyway, this is going to age a lot more well. There's one thing that did annoy me, and it might be kind of minor. I don't think you guys will have really cared that much, but for me, I felt like the camera was a bit too high. I feel like it was a bit too overhead, and it sort of made me feel sometimes that I had to like crank my neck over as if I could somehow physically move the camera if I was to bend my neck higher. But yeah, I just thought it was a bit high up sometimes, and it sort of made the angles in some places a bit weird. But like aesthetically and the way it looks, I think it looks very, very nice. And it is a nice looking Zelda game. I do prefer the way Link's Awakening looks though.
Yeah, I
I think
don't.
that's
I
a
understand
real
what you mean by the angle,
nice
especially
thing,
coming off the back of Link's Awakening, because Link's Awakening is a lot lower. You can see Link's face for a start. In this, you can't really. You
Yeah,
can't see
it's
his face
just
at all.
very top up, and yeah, it just feels like I have to crank my neck sometimes to get like a better angle.
Because I feel like if you're looking at it from like thinking this is Link Between Worlds, but like with Link's Awakening, it was sort of like you were looking like this
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. It's like it's
I,
ever
I
so
love how
slightly
you
different.
understood what I meant just by moving my
Yeah,
hand.
it's ever so slightly different, but yeah, it was a significant enough change in this game coming from that it made me feel a bit weird when I was playing it, but it didn't take too long to get used to.
Yeah,
It was just a bit annoying for a little bit.
Alex, anything to say about the graphics?
Yeah, I thought they were fine for a 3DS game. It's what I expected, but literally just the same as Lewis with like the camera and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm with you.
yeah.
I think that. So I'm glad that they dropped Toon Link for this. I'm glad. Like I actually think this looks better, and it would have changed the mood of the game if Toon Link was used.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the designs of all the characters,
Yeah, it feels like a good.
especially Zelda.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, because that's Zelda they use for Smash, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Yeah, it's it just feels like a sequel to A Link to the Past. You know what I mean? But that's because of the graphics that they used. It gobsmacks me. The Triforce Heroes came out after this because Triforce Heroes looks like shit compared to this.
Yeah, I appreciate when games, because obviously at the end of the day it's difficult to make like a fully fledged RPG and a game similar to a console game, with the graphics that like a DS and 3DS have. And I do appreciate when they scale these games down but don't resort to like that chibi style or like the super deformed style where they make everything really small and massive heads and all that. I appreciate that they've pretty much managed to retain what Link would look like and what all these characters would look like in a Zelda game. It's just sort of smushed down for a handheld console. And I think it does work a lot better. Yeah, Triforce Heroes, I don't hate it. It's very colourful and it fits with like what the game's trying to do.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was a much safer art style and a much easier art style for them to make a game with. Basically, I feel like it will have taken a lot more effort to produce what they did in this game than it did to make Triforce Heroes, and that's probably because. So wait, who made A Link Between Worlds? Do we know who made it?
That's a cracking question. That's a great question. You should carry on talking while I look at my phone.
Because I was going to say, I'd assume, maybe I'm wrong here. This is what I need to know. I'd assume the company that made Triforce Heroes was probably more of an outsourced project than A Link
that
Between
was
Worlds.
that was Grezzo that made
Right. Okay. Yeah.
A Link Between Triforce Heroes.
A Link Between Worlds.
So,
A Link Between Worlds was Nintendo in-house.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I mean. So like, they will have put a lot more effort into doing that, and no discredit to the team that worked on Triforce Heroes, but obviously it will have been a lot cheaper to make. So like art wise and stuff, yeah, they probably just went with something a lot more simple and easy to actually work with than having to do something like this. And as said, I think it worked. I think for what Triforce Heroes was trying to do, it works. I'm not like super against it, but this is much nicer to look at overall. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'd rather.
yeah, I think the
play games
problem
with
was that Grezzo were making Majora's Mask and Triforce Heroes, so I reckon they put the more time into Majora's Mask because they both came out in 2015.
Probably, yeah, for sure.
They both came out in 2015. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Crazy. So before we move on to the story of the game, can we have one glaring issue that each of you got with it? If you have one.
Very easy.
It is
Go
very,
on.
very easy, yeah. Very easy.
Oh, right. I thought you were gonna like. It's very easy. What it is this. I didn't realize your point was
right.
it was very easy.
No, that's just my
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
It's just really, really easy.
Um,
Like, it's not really a challenge.
No.
That's
yeah.
like my main. That's like the only main problem I have. But it's just mindless fun.
Yeah. I mean, I agree for the most. I don't think it's too easy. I think this honestly has a perfect mix. Between being like obnoxiously annoying and like too straightforward. I feel like this is honestly a perfect balance where again it also I mentioned this in A Link's Awakening where I don't think it holds the player's hand that much. It only gives you tutorials like twice.
Yeah.
And it just sort of lets you do your thing. But yeah, I can agree probably that some people would consider it to be too easy. I don't overly have too many issues with the difficulty though, to be honest. Though, but that's probably the worst thing about it. I genuinely can't think of a thing that I like massively disliked about the game. At least not off the top of my head.
I can.
Go
But
on.
just to talk about difficulty though, I didn't die once in the game.
Yeah, I died once right at the start, but that was because I wasn't looking at my screen. I had my DS on.
I mean,
Like, and I was just like looking at something else.
if we're
Like,
being
split second.
if we're being honest, the only games I've died in were the games that were built like poo because
Which
they were
haven't
made to be
come
super
out yet.
difficult. So it was like a no, so a link. No, well, yeah, but yeah, so Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 and A Link to the Past, and that was really it. Really, I didn't really die in any of the other Zelda games like ever.
Me neither.
No.
It was just sort of those. So I don't really like fault the game for doing that. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree with it. Like it's you don't need to die in the game to
Yeah.
to be considered a challenge. I don't think.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think it has a good mixture in this game.
yeah, it can take away from it as well if you die. But anyway, so my thing that annoys me is there is still a one item at a time rule. Why
Right,
is that?
okay.
Is that number one? The 3DS has got 4 face buttons. Number 2, it's got an entire fucking touchscreen. The touchscreen in this game is wasted. Just have the inventory on the touchscreen at all times.
Yeah.
It's that simple, and then I can just press what I want.
Time.
Pardon?
One item at a time.
One item at a time. Yeah, because you got your sword in one hand and you got your item in the other hand. As far as I can remember, anyway. I wrote it down,
you
so it
not
must
get-
be true.
Did you not get the backpack to get an extra item slot?
No.
So you could have X and Y.
I didn't know
Well-
that existed. I didn't go out of my way in this game to collect anything that I didn't have to.
See that?
Yeah, I was gonna say
I know this game like the back of my hand. I played it like 4 or 5 times now. I think this
Yeah.
was like my 5th time playing it, and I played it last year as well. So I just know like all the secrets and
Yeah.
stuff.
I was gonna say I had that issue. The reason I didn't bring it up is because say I did have that issue until I got the backpack, and then I was like, well, my issue is gone. Like the issue
Yeah.
that I had with it was there, but then it was no longer an issue, so I didn't really think about it.
It shouldn't be a hidden item in order to create ease of use.
I think it's literally you go to the stump, and then that's it.
I mean,
Like, you just get it.
I agree with all to an extent. It's less about how easy it is to get, and more like
It should just be there.
yeah, it should
from
be
the
something
start.
that should just be in the game. Yeah, you shouldn't have to go out your way to get it.
Like increasing your inventory is one thing, but allowing you to use another button which is otherwise sat there doing nothing.
I mean, the only thing I can think of, the reason why they do that is to be more of like a nod to traditional Zelda games, but obviously because it's a modern game, they give you the option to stop that and actually make it a lot more easier to actually. But that's the only reason I can think of why they do that, which is
Yeah.
like fair, I guess.
It's not on the path. I didn't run into it, so it's not on the main. But anyway, it's fine. It's fine.
Can I talk about my other issue?
Hit us
quick?
with it.
The My is really annoying. Like, why is there another thing where I have to collect 100 of them in order to upgrade my items? Why can't I just like pay to have them upgraded? I have to pay to own them, but like, why isn't there like I don't want to be collecting like these Mai's all the time. Like, I just want to go from dungeon to dungeon, get my art pieces and stuff along the way. It's just another pointless thing for me to collect in order to upgrade my items, which you don't really need to do in this game. I wasn't really incentivized to go out and get these Mai's because I didn't want to.
Well, I feel like that's a positive of this game, though, is that it doesn't ever force you
No, I
to
know,
go
yeah.
and collect these things. And I honestly felt like every single collectible in this game was worth my time if I was willing to do it. Every other Zelda game had a bunch of items or a bunch of like upgrades that you had to get or collectibles where I felt like this is a chore and you're forcing me to do this and I hate that you're making me do this. In this game, it never once forces you or even encourages you to do it. It's just if you want to do it, you can. And when you do it, I feel like it was always worth it to go out of your way and get this stuff. So I don't know. I find it difficult to understand. Well, I don't find it difficult to understand, but I'd find it difficult to maybe agree that the items were worthless because I do agree that you don't need to use that. It's more one of those things where it's like you don't actually need them. But I feel like
Yeah.
if you're willing to go out of your way to get it, I don't think it hurts or damages your time with the game because I feel like they keep it fun and their pace always keeps up. And it's constantly something like where, like I said, I don't think it ever takes away from the experience, whereas the other games did. I feel like this game perfectly aligns the both sides of it, where it's like I can still enjoy and adventure the game and play through the story, but me going out of my way to go and get this thing doesn't in any way affect like the flow of the game, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, it's never felt more optional. Never felt more optional.
Yeah, like yeah.
For example, I don't even know what these things look like because I never saw one, not once.
Yeah, which I completely understand. I get that. Yeah.
Not a one. Anyway, we're gonna move on to the story of the game. So there is quite a lot here, so bear with us a bit. Beware, there are obviously spoilers because we're gonna go straight from the beginning to the end. So, centuries after Ganon's defeat, a wizard who looks an awful lot like Ganon appears from another world, transforming the seven sages as well as Princess Zelda into paintings and retreating to their own realm, Lorule, with the blacksmith's apprentice Link quick on his tail. Link is able to traverse the tears in the world between Hyrule and Lorule using a bracelet given to him by a mysterious-looking item peddler called Ravio. Once in Lorule, Yuga releases Ganon, who, if you remember, still possesses the Triforce of Power, and merges with him, joining them as one. He explains his desire is to destroy and consume both the worlds of Hyrule and Lorule. He then attacks Link, but Link is protected by Princess Hilda, Lorule's counterpart to Princess Zelda. Hilda explains that Link must travel through Lorule and collect the portraits of the seven sages before he can confront Yuga. Link does this with the help of Ravio, who opens a shop in Link's home to rent him any items he needs. Seven sages collected, Link travels to Lorule Castle, awakening the Triforce of Courage within himself. Upon reaching the throne room of Lorule Castle, he is confronted by Hilda, who reveals it was her who sent Yuga in the first place to obtain the Triforce of Hyrule, after theirs was destroyed by their elders in order to stop endless wars over power. However, destroying the Triforce caused their world to fall into chaos, hence Hilda taking action to steal Hyrule's. During the final battle, Hilda commands Yuga to take Link's Triforce of Courage. However, Yuga disobeys her and instead turns her into a portrait, stealing the Triforce of Wisdom in the process. Becoming stronger than ever, Link, with the aid of Princess Zelda and her light arrows, is able to defeat Yuga. After all this, Hilda still demands the Triforce in order to fix her kingdom. However, at that moment, Ravio arrives and reveals himself to be Link's Lorule counterpart and pleads with Hilda to stop this chaos, as it's not what her ancestors would have wanted. Hilda relents and allows Link and Zelda to leave Lorule through a crack in their sacred realm. Link and Zelda arrive in Hyrule's sacred realm, which now once again houses the intact Triforce. They make a wish upon it to restore Lorule's Triforce to its former glory, and so begins a brighter age for both realms. Now that is by far the longest story that we've ever had, so there's a lot of detail there that was even missed out. I shortened it as much as I can. So what did we think of the story, Lewis?
I mean, I thought the story was fine. I mean, going back really quick to your last question about like what was the thing you liked the least, I guess the story, just because they played it incredibly safe. The things that they realistically, the story is just the same story as A Link to the Past. They've just switched out the roles of certain characters. They've just switched out which character fulfills which role. There's certain stuff that they added, like with Hilda and Ravio. That stuff was done really well, and I thought that was good. But I think the rest of it was just very, very safe, and it was, like I said, just A Link to the Past, but they just switched stuff out. I don't think the story was bad, and like I said, I really enjoyed the stuff they did with Hilda and Ravio. I enjoyed all that stuff. But outside of that, it was a Zelda story. It wasn't anything that I'd be like, holy shit, that was incredible. It was just very much the Zelda story that I know, but with some stuff implemented that I actually did enjoy. It was just a good story overall. Actually, No, I like Link's Awakening story better.
Oh, interesting. Okay, Alex.
I actually quite like it. I like it when like shows or like cartoons and stuff they do like a mirror world like type deal. I don't know why I like it so much like thingy. And also Low Rule like as a name is just
Genius.
brilliant.
Genius.
Genius. Like
Genius.
you wouldn't it's
It's
genius.
like
You wouldn't think
high,
of it.
but the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's low. It's
Incredible.
crazy. No, yeah, I really liked it. I liked like the fact that that Hilda was like like I gonna be like the big bad
Yeah.
at the end, and it's just like oh shit, yeah, because she is Zelda's counterpart, so she would be evil, really, but she wasn't
Yeah.
actually like that evil. But yeah, I liked it. Oliver, did you like it?
Thank you for asking, Alex. I really liked it. I think this might be my favourite Zelda story, to be honest with you. Just opposite what Lewis is saying. Yeah, I like you.
One out.
I really like the high rule, low rule kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Like I say, I like it in cartoons and stuff when they do it. It's interesting to see the counterparts and stuff like that. It is safe. I will say it is safe, but I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with being safe. It comforts me, you know. I feel comforted by the story. And the first time I played this, not this time, obviously, but the first time I played it, it did honestly shock me when Hilda just pulled out the old betrayal card.
Yeah, same.
But I think
And then
that's
when Ravio pulled his hood off and it was Link, I was like, oh my god, he wasn't dead. Like,
He
where
wasn't
is
dead
he?
the entire
It's
time.
crazy.
But again, I think that's a
Crazy.
testament to the stuff that was put into this game and why I really like it. Everyone's mentioned the Hilda and Ravio stuff, and that's by far the most unique thing of the story compared to A Link to the Past. That's mainly the new stuff that they added, and that's the stuff that I really enjoyed about the story. If that wasn't here and they got rid of that, it would just be A Link to the Past, but just switch out, what's he called? Yuga.
Aghanim.
Yuga with Agony. If you just switch them, that is the Link to the Past, and there, that's it. That's all that is. But the Hilda stuff and Ravio stuff is really well done. I still think this is one of the better stories for a Zelda game.
Yeah.
I probably think this is like the second best Zelda story we've had. Out of the 2D ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just really like the ending of Link's Awakening.
You do like your Link's Awakening.
I just think it was very smart and it was very well written.
loves
And
it.
it was just a good time.
So do we think low rule is the same as the Dark World in the Link to the Past, or is it separate realms?
I think it's a
probably
separate realm.
Separate
Yeah, I think
realm.
it's a separate realm, but I think it's very much the same concept.
Oh, it's definitely the same concept. I mean, it might be the sacred realm in A Link to the Past, because at that point it was the Dark Realm, if I remember rightly, because Ganon was fucking.
Yeah.
about
Well,
Yeah.
it. Okay, cool. So, favorite and least favorite dungeon, I guess we're on to.
Okay. Give me a sec.
this has
I
been
need
the
to
first
remember.
time I've known this straight away, like clear as day, like easy clap on both.
Right, go
Well,
for
you
it.
go first then.
Yeah.
Okay, the best dungeon, no, the worst dungeon
Oh.
was the thieves' hideout. It was a very boring dungeon. It was very plain looking. It had no pizzazz at all. It had like nothing going for it that was interesting. And I think overall it was just incredibly boring. And I think the best one, easy clap, no contest, was the ice ruins.
Ice.
The
Oh.
the ice
Ice?
ruins. The ice ruins was
Lewis, like in an ice
no,
dungeon.
but this is what
What?
shocked me as well. I don't like water. I don't like slipping around. It's annoying. But the ice ruins, I thought all the puzzles were done incredibly well. I thought all the enemy placement and all the enemies in that dungeon were done really well. The boss was really enjoyable, and I don't know. I just enjoyed that entire thing. There's like no contest between like my favorite and like second favorite. Like it's easily just that one by far. It was the most fun when I was playing it. As soon as I finished that dungeon, I was like, this is the best one. And I just had a great time with it. But like I said, on the opposite end of the spectrum, it was very obvious to me as soon as I finished the Thieves' Hideout that it was just kind of garbage. I'd say garbage. Garbage is a bit too extreme. It was just the worst out of all of them, but it was so significantly worse than the rest of them that it sort of is garbage. But it isn't a bad dungeon. It's just, yeah, it's very plain and kind of boring. And I don't think it really does anything special.
I don't think I really like the ice ruins. For a similar reason as to why I didn't like the fucking bird tower in Link's Awakening, where the whole like knocking through the floor kind of thing.
I feel like it
dropping
does it
things
much
down.
better in this though.
I think the elevators make it a lot easier to get up and
Yeah.
down and stuff like that, but it's still like, for me, it's not. It made the dungeon longer than it needed to be, in my opinion.
Oh no, yeah, it's by far the longest dungeon in the game.
Yeah.
Alex, you got yours?
Yeah. Right. So my least favorite was probably the Dark Palace because
Okay, no.
I don't want to be walking around in the dark all the time. So they made the lamp like the item for the dungeon.
Yeah, I do hate like
Um,
video games when you have to walk around dark rooms.
Yeah, because it was just lamp on, lamp off. You need the lamp off to see which way you're going, then you need to put the lamp on to like actually go it, but you have to walk on an invisible floor. I don't like stuff like that in games. Um yeah, some of the puzzles in there was annoying, like I just didn't break one like crack in the ceiling, so then I couldn't open the boss door, which was annoying, so then I had to go through the entire dungeon again to find this one bombable floor. Yeah, that was really annoying. My favorite though, oh, I don't know. It's a tough one.
There's a lot of good dungeons.
There is.
There is a lot of good dungeons. I did, I did kind of like the Swamp Palace. Like it was
Ew.
actually a water dungeon that I actually like, kind of enjoyed because
I-
it was
I-
short as well.
Yeah, I remember Swamp Palace being alright.
It didn't overstay its welcome, which is what I liked.
Yeah.
But if I don't know, there's none where I was like, yeah, this fucking amazing. But they're all just like they're all good. If I had to say one though, it'd probably be Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock.
Just yeah,
Damn.
it yeah. I don't think why.
I feel like you've been
It's
unprepared
just- it
for
was
this,
just a-
Alex. You're not prepared.
I'm not prepared. You're right. No, I just it was different. I like especially with like you had to use the ice rod to like traverse through the lava. I feel like
Yeah.
that's like the first time like you've done that in a Zelda game because mostly it's just like oh you just have to use the what's it called? You just have to use like pillars and stuff to like jump
Yeah.
across. I can't remember a different
Right,
item
okay.
that you could use.
I'm with you.
Like you make your own like path through the lava.
Yeah, I can't remember like in Turtle Rock much either. To be honest with you, I found because you had to do puzzles in each of like the 4 rooms, didn't you, to spawn platforms in the middle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll do mine. I am prepared for this. So our least favorite was the Dark Dungeon, like you, Alex.
Yep.
But my main reason that it was an issue was because I had one item button.
Ah.
Because I didn't have the backpack. So this dungeon required both bombs and lanterns, and
Yeah.
I was consistently switching. It was incredibly frustrating, and yeah, I had no idea that the backpack existed. So I like you, I'm not a massive fan of turning your lantern off to see the path.
Yeah.
Stupid. My favourite is becoming quite a theme for me. The last dungeon, Laurel Castle. Loved it. Again, it's the perfect way to do the last dungeon in a Zelda game. It's just a gauntlet against previous bosses. It's like you paths that require certain items and stuff like that. It's making sure that you're using everything that you've learned over the adventure, and it was a great boss fight that finished it as well. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed Laurel
Get
Castle.
behind that.
So at this point in the series, unless the game introduces a new item, which this one doesn't, I'm not going to ask you what your favourite item is.
Yeah, please don't bother.
But I will ask you what you think of the rental mechanic.
Oh, I mean, I don't really have too much to say about it. I mean, it seemed annoying at first, but I mean, you can just buy the stuff, so like, I don't know. I don't dislike it. I don't think it's an incredible feature. I'm not waiting for its return, but I mean, it didn't upset me or it didn't anger me in any way. I just thought it was kind of just an interesting mechanic. I was like, cool. And then that was sort of it, really.
Do you know what I find interesting about it? So,
Go on.
so new Super Mario Bros. 2 must have come out around the same time as this game, or at least in the last couple of years.
2014.
Yeah. So both this and new Super Mario Bros. 2 have a massive focus on the currency in the game. because
Yeah,
you
they did.
need
Oh,
money.
that's true.
Yeah, you need money in A Link Between Worlds to survive.
Yeah.
Because if you die, you lose your rental item. You need money
Yeah.
to go and get it again, or you need money to buy it, or whatever. New Super
Yeah.
Mario Bros. 2 is all about the coins. It's themed after coins. I just thought that was rather interesting since they both came from in-house developers as well.
Yeah, but at least
Yeah.
this game implemented it with the idea of like getting money meaning something. In
Yeah.
New Super Mario Bros. 2, it was just nonsense.
Coins all the time.
Yeah.
Coins.
It didn't
And
make
then you
any
have like
sense in
700
that game.
lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I never understood that game. It always weirded me out.
It was straight. I
just
think
a bit odd.
they were looking for something to theme it after. I think they just wanted to kind of like, because New Super Mario Bros. Even then was getting old. Like it was feeling like worn out. So like they just needed something to make it different, I guess. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, for me for the rental mechanic, it's fine. If I didn't die in the game at all, so if for anyone less skilled, like a younger person or something like that, then it might be an issue. But for me, I didn't have to buy any of the items. I did towards the end because I had the money and had nothing else to do with it. But what I do like about it is it gives you the option to, if you've got enough coins, buy enough rupees, buy them all at the beginning, and then you can go and find near enough every heart piece in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do like that.
Like you can go and do all the exploration first, and then you can do the dungeons after, which I really, really do like.
Yeah.
Alex, anything to say?
I thought it was fine. It was just a way for you to go to any dungeon that you wanted in any order, rather than you have to go to this one first, get the item, then go to the next one. I just wish that the prices were a bit cheaper to actually buy the items, because I think it ends up being like 1,200
Yeah.
to like actually buy it.
is.
So unless you like getting towards the end of the game where you can just buy them, like you literally just may as well just rent them all.
I mean, no, yeah, well, that's like,
unless you want to do the upgrades.
yeah, that's the point though, really, isn't it? Is obviously the rental system is because you have to give a lot of credit to the game, like the game design for this game, because they completely had to rethink how the world was structured and how you are actually capable of getting to these places. And I feel like the perfect way to complement that was with the rental system, because as you said, it's just basically what allows you to play the game the way you want. And the whole thing of buying it is essentially just a bonus. It's not something that's required or they expect you to do. It's just one of those things where it's like, if you happen to have the money and you think it would just make your life easier by buying it, then you can go for it. But I think the rental system works well in what it needs to do, and it does complement like the main, not mechanic of the game, but like how it wants you to play it. But that's also, like I said, why I don't hate it or like super like it, because I mean it's just sort of there, isn't it? If I want to buy the item, I'll buy it. If not, then it doesn't really affect me in any way.
There was some items where I didn't see a point in buying, because I know the game. Like after like the third dungeon, you don't use the tornado rod ever again, so there's no point in buying it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it makes sense.
Right. So moving on to the favorite and least favorite boss. This is the last part. So favorite and least favorite boss. I don't know why I said that twice, but here we are. Favorite and least favorite boss.
Here we are.
Alex.
Go on. Yeah, go on.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
My favorite boss was in the Thieves' Hideout. I don't know what he's called.
Boo, Alex. Boo.
I don't know the names. It doesn't have the names on it. So I tried going to the boss page and it just didn't show on
what are you
Zelda
on?
Dungeon.
Zelda.
Yeah, you know.
So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm on Zelda fandom.
Yeah, Zelda fandom's
Oh,
probably the
right,
best bet. That's where I get mine from.
all right, okay. Well, you can tell me the name of it.
Lewis.
The final boss in Thieves' Hideout.
I've not got it open.
Stylblind.
Stylblind, right? Yeah.
That's your favorite.
Yeah, because I really like the merging mechanic, having to go onto his shield to get behind him and then whacking him from behind. I just thought that was really like a proper unique way to fight a boss, rather than just hitting him like 5 times and he dies.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Least favorite. A few of them are pretty boneless. Like the Skullwoods one. It was just a what they called. It's a hand. They're called Warmaster.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, it was just a Warmaster, and then the Swamp Palace was just a bunch of eyes. I really like the Turtle Rock boss as well. It was just a big turtle with a big long neck.
Boss was definitely called Grinex.
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 Yeah. And then shout out to the final boss as well, because that was really good.
Yep. It really was. Lewis?
Well, yeah, my favorite boss was the Yuga Ganon fight. It was a really good fight. It actually felt quite epic, and it did feel like a final boss. Like it felt like someone had worked towards, and rather than just the generic Ganon, this Ganon was fucking yoked out, giant piggy. It was a good time. I really enjoyed it. Um, I don't really have anything bad to say about that fight. They kept what we like about the final boss fight with Ganon. We got to smack the ball around. It was just a good time overall. Um, my least favorite was, it was my least favorite. Probably Yuga, maybe. Yuga Ganon my favorite and Yuga the worst one. I mean,
Or
The
Yuga,
one in
the
Hyrule
first one?
Castle.
yeah, the one was just sort of like the pit in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
And that
Oh, the
bad boss
first
fight,
one.
yeah, that fight was just like nothing. It just wasn't. It just wasn't a boss. It wasn't. Well, it was a boss, but it wasn't enjoyable. And it was incredibly simple and easy. And it was sort of that whole thing which we've complained about in other Zelda games of just you giving us a really weak version of the strong character.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like just get
Yeah.
it out of the way. I know I'm gonna win. I know this isn't gonna be a challenge. It's boring. I'm never going to enjoy it. Well, maybe one day if some game does it right, but I don't see myself ever enjoying those sorts of fights because they're just pointless and waste my time.
The only way you should fight the main boss is like the first dungeon or whatever is if they kill you or the beat
Yeah,
the first
I
time
was-
they
I
do
was
it.
gonna say that.
That's fine. Yeah,
You
You,
I think
sh-
that's
you should have
fine.
lost because then that would have made sense in context to what happens.
And then
Where
Yeah.
he puts you in the wall.
And then
But it-
you get your strength up, you move, like you get stronger and stuff, and then you beat them. That's the way it should feel.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it ruins any sort of like hype that you have for the character or boss when you beat them when they're meant to be this like super strong being and you have nothing and you beat them, or they're just like, oh, that made me tired. It's just like fuck off, dude. Like it's just so pointless and you're wasting everyone's time. Just save it till the end or don't do it at all. Basically, it's just. Yeah, I don't know. It was probably going to be known that was going to be. I was going to say that, but or someone was going to mention it. But yeah, it was just.
Honestly, I completely. So I did these notes when I finished playing the game, but even then, I completely forgot that fight existed.
I mean, that's also completely understandable. I don't think it's worth
it's
remembering. It's so minor.
boneless.
Yeah.
So my favorite is also Stylblind. Like Alex said, requires you to merge onto a shield to get behind it. It uses the main mechanic of the game, which I like. And the boss realizes what's happening, actually realizes its mistake, doesn't do the same thing over and over again, and throws its shield away. You know what I mean? That hardly ever happens in Zelda. Like the boss will just keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But this guy doesn't. So my least favorite, which no one has mentioned yet, is Zaga Naga. It's just really, really frustrating. So I didn't die in the game, but this is where I came closest.
Which one?
So this is the
That's like
desert.
the flowery thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in the
in the desert palace.
Yeah, desert palace.
Yeah,
You've got to use your
I was
sand
going to
wand.
mention that.
You got to use your sand wand to create platforms to go over and hit it, but the platforms don't last long enough. And the boss consistently sends out these little mob things that will knock you around and because the platforms are so small, if one of those hits you, you are losing at least two hearts every time.
Well, yeah, because then you'll fall off and then lose another heart.
Exactly. You lost your heart because you got hit. You lost your heart because you're falling off. I will also shout out to the final boss again, just as everyone else has, because it's really, really good. I can't think of a better one, to be honest with you. In better times, maybe Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time was really good, to be fair. But I feel like this was also very reminiscent of the Ocarina of Time one, just also with how big Ganon was. It was a very beastly Ganon, so it was just kind of nice to fight that. I'll also give a shout out to like the 4 bosses that were just objects with eyeballs, like in all Zelda games. I do appreciate those every time.
You gotta love it.
Especially Hand with Eyeball. Hand with Eyeball is always the
Hand
greatest
with
boss
eyeball.
in
And
every
then there was
single.
just an eyeball that was in a spinning top. You got Moldon back, who dies in like 3 hits.
Poor Moldon, man. Like Moldon just gets the shit every single time. Like
He's so shit.
One day in a Zelda game, he's going to come back and he is going to be a beast.
No, that's what I was gonna say. They need to like do a Zelda game where he's like Mecha Moldon or something, and he's just like fucking insane and like insanely strong. That would be really fun. But yeah, any Nintendo game with Hand with Eyeball is automatically a goated game in my mind.
Yeah,
It's
the
alright,
Ice Ruins boss was a bit weird as well. It was just some little creature, like it was basically just a ball of fur.
Creature with eyeball.
Creature with eyeball.
Good boss. What even was it? It was just black. It was just black
It
mask.
was just fur. I think.
It's fair.
I don't know what it was.
It's just fair.
Furby.
Yeah. So, does anyone have anything else to say before we close this one off?
If you don't like A Link to the Past, and for some reason that scarred you from playing any game in the Zelda series ever again, then try A Link Between Worlds, because you'll probably enjoy it a lot more.
There's not many people. There really is not many people who don't like Link to the Past. Well,
Is it just us
I
three?
think honestly, it might just be us three, because I've never heard anyone else complain about it. Ever.
Because I feel like everyone who speaks about that game played it when they were younger.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard many opinions on the game where people. This is the first time people have played it in 2022, and they've actually spoken about it. I feel like everyone who speaks about it is already a big fan of the game, and it may be controversial. And if it is, then I mean, tough. Like it's just the game's kind of mid. I'm sorry, get over it.
Play this one instead.
Yeah, like I said, if for some reason you have played that one game and you were like never again, try this one because you'll probably like it if you didn't like A Link to the Past because it fixes all the issues.
A good time. Right, so for the next Hyrulean Chronicle game, we'll be playing the multiplayer-centric Triforce Heroes. That episode will be on the channel on the 23rd of September. So this is releasing quite early in the month, so we actually have a couple of other videos still to come this month. We've got our discussion episode out on the 16th. This is September, this, isn't it, what we're talking about?
Yeah,
this
video
is,
game soundtrack.
Yeah, so video game soundtracks. And also our video game book club review for Sable will be out on the 30th. But until next time, we shall see you later.
Bye.
Bye.